Yeah. Hello and welcome to the second week of the Mouse Madness discussions. I'm your host, Nicholas Heaney, aka Irish Husky, and I'm once again joined by my friend Wesley Hunt. Say hello, Wesley.
Hi.
Alright, so if you've seen the first podcast, you understand how all of this works. So let's just jump right into it.
Right.
We've got a pretty interesting set of matchups this week. A little bit less obvious than the week before, just due to how things ended up.
I don't think there'll be as many unanimous contests this time.
Yeah. Well, I already know the outcomes. I don't know if you know the outcomes.
I don't.
All right, then it'll be a wonderful surprise. So, just as a recap, this week's matchups are, the first matchup was Wreck-It Ralph versus Melody Time. We also had The Little Mermaid versus Saludos, Amigos. We had Mulan versus The Rescuers Down Under. And we had Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs versus Nothing. It was one of the 6 buy films.
Yay for automatic qualifiers.
Yeah. Just a bit of a heads up, we won't be getting to a non-bye week until week 6. That's just the way things kind of worked out. So instead of 6 films that week, we'll be talking about 8.
More the merrier.
Absolutely. All right, so let's start with the first matchup, Wreck-It Ralph versus Melody Time. So we'll begin with Wreck-It Ralph. The first time I saw this, actually, was a few years back during the summer when my family would rent out DVDs every week. I decided on Wreck-It Ralph because I'd heard of its pretty strong reputation, heard mostly good things about it. I'd also been spoiled about the twist ending. I'm the kind of person who doesn't mind spoilers. But it also led to one of my most shameful moments when I accidentally spoiled the twist to my brothers before it happened.
Studies show people are more interested and enjoy things more if they're spoiled.
I tend to find that to be true, because if I'm spoiled on something that I don't think I'm gonna like, I just won't watch it.
Yeah, well, I watched this movie when it was new, when it just came out on DVD, and I actually watched this unspoiled, so It was pretty nice watching it for me. But I also really liked the nostalgic video game callbacks and how Ralph's arc was kind of funny if you interpret it a certain way. It could be from bad guy to good guy, but a lot of people have read it as an allegory for actors being typecast.
Really?
Yeah, so if you want to play against your type, this is a good way you can do it. Yeah. And many have considered this to be the beginning of the modern Disney era because it introduced the CGI concept and it gave us our first twist villain. But of the twist villains that we discussed last week and will discuss in the future, I think this one did it the best. Because King Candy's already the villain, the twist is just his identity.
Exactly. And, going into this, knowing what the twist was, his motivations for what he does, they do make a lot of sense in hindsight. I think the foreshadowing was pretty strong. You don't bring up someone like Turbo at the beginning and not bring him back later.
Chekhov's gun.
Absolutely.
Chekhov once said, if you have a gun on the wall in Act 1, it's going to go off in Act 2 or 3.
Yeah, I believe he did.
So, and also I really did like how it had the nostalgic video game vibe, how they were able to have so many genres represented and make the world feel immersive. This is something that takes the CGI and uses it to its full potential to make it feel more immersive.
Yeah, if I do have a criticism of this movie, though, I'm not really a big fan of, I guess, how Ralph's arc gets started, like wanting to get the medal. quite frankly, the people in Ralph's world, aside from Ralph and aside from Felix, like, they know how the game is coded. They understand that Ralph is a villain because the game demands it, but I don't know. It feels like the movie was like too stacked against Ralph, just making those people, particularly Gene, just the biggest assholes you can make them. Like Gene especially, I hated that guy. Like, it is his fault for, putting this idea into Ralph's head, making him go into hero's duty, which, let's face it, that was incredibly reckless.
Right.
I feel a little bit more lenient towards the way Vanellope's treated, because it is established that everyone's memory of her is compromised once she's turned into a glitch. Yeah,
because they changed the programming.
Right. And I think just the general vibe of that game, it makes the stereotypical bullies a little bit more justifiable. And, it's not really about them, it's about Ralph and Vanellope's connection.
Yeah.
And I'll say this, like, the scene where Ralph has to destroy Vanellope's cart, like, I knew it was coming, I knew it was going to happen, it still gets me. It gets me every single time, like...
It does.
Even more so than the later emotional climax where he's reciting the bad guy pledge. I'll be honest, though, that scene was kind of ruined for me because the first time I saw it was in a meme video called Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh, jeez.
Basically, it ends with Ralph in Shrek's body slamming into the volcano, and then All-Star blasts up.
I'm gonna strike it!
Oh, God.
Yeah, but for all the world building and all the character stuff, you just wait till we get to Ralph Breaks the Internet. I have a lot to say about that one in regards to the first one.
I'm looking forward to that, hopefully for the right reasons, but...
we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Right. So yeah, Ralph's the bad guy. Duh.
I was just going to say that, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, generally positive thoughts on Wreck-It Ralph, but how does it stack up against Melody Time?
This might surprise you, but I voted for Melody Time for this one.
This might surprise you. So did I.
Yeah, but you see, Melody Time is just loads of fun. It's probably one of the best structured package films. You probably haven't gotten to Make My Music yet because it's not the draw there, but this is sort of like an improved, more polished version of that, in that each one has sort of a story, there's some linear cohesion, and all the songs are pretty good. They match with the biggest people of the 40s, and each one is pretty nice. I suppose if I had one immediate complaint, and it's kind of a nitpick, I would have switched Johnny Appleseed with Pecos Bill.
Like if only climactic finish, you mean?
Yeah, Johnny Appleseed, just that final shot just works better as the finale, and it leaves you smiling at the end.
I agree. I'd actually seen the Johnny Appleseed segment on its own in the 4th grade. As I remember, it got to this part, it got to Johnny's song, and it's like, oh my god, I actually remember this.
Yeah.
And, speaking of Make My Music, Mike was actually telling me that this wasn't on Disney Plus, so I was going to have to either bootleg it or find some other way to watch it. He did tell me that was basically a worse version of Fantasia, and I remember on his Twitter thread, he called Melody Time an improved version of Make My Music.
I agree, and of all the films that he's marathoned so far, Melody Time is his favorite one.
Yeah.
And maybe Great Mouse Detective.
I thought it was rivaling Fox and the Hound.
Yeah, and Great Mouse Detective also scored identically, 8.5.
Wow. So,
but yeah, it's pretty interesting to see how this movie was able to hold up.
I know. Like, I was thinking about it earlier today, how I wanted to describe it in a nutshell. I think I'd describe it as like a more mainstream friendly version of Fantasia.
Right.
Fantasia is definitely more on the artsy side. And whatever you think of Fantasia, Melody Time feels like, it could appeal to wider audiences who aren't so quite into classical music and, animation as an art form and care more about it as a storytelling form.
Right, yeah, it's like going to a concert versus going to a symphony.
Right. I think my favorite segment of these was the Flight of the Bumblebee segment.
Oh yeah, that one, the jazz rearrangement.
Yeah,
it's just so trippy and off the wall.
Exactly. I mean, and it's a fantastic arrangement too.
Yeah.
So yeah, honestly, I think I have to favor this one over Wreck-It Ralph just because.
Don't know if it'll win, but I'm just going with it on the limb. I voted for it too.
All right, so let's get to the voting for this bracket. Drum roll, please. Okay. Wreck-It Ralph got 12 votes. Melody Time got 2 votes.
That's us!
Yay! Hooray!
Yay.
We're the minorities.
Yeah, bit disappointed, but not surprised.
Yeah. I think it's just because I think most people who voted, like, Wreck-It Ralph is more modern, it's probably fresher in their mind. It has all those video game references, and I'm not even sure how many people have even seen Melody Time.
Right, I think recency bias is going to play a role in these matchups as we go on down the line.
True.
Yeah, we have the higher seeds that are older, like Fantasia and Bambi, but the reason I didn't project them in my final four is because, again, recency bias.
Yeah, I mean.
So I think a more recent film like Zootopia would try to pull in an upset there.
Yeah. Although, we'll see what happens when we get to the later rounds. So far, in all of these brackets, the only quote-unquote upset has been Emperor's New Groove beating out Ichabod and Mr. Toad. And even then, it was a 9 seed being an 8 seed.
Which happens statistically more often than not, even in the real March Madness.
I actually did not know that. That's actually pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay, so, second matchup. The 3 seed, Little Mermaid. 14 seed, Saludos Amigos.
Right. Now, I actually had to rewatch Saludos Amigos for this one because the only other time I watched it was in high school Spanish class.
Makes sense.
So I could only make out every third or fourth word with the narration.
Yeah.
So I rewatched it in Disney Plus, and it was in English, and I understood it better.
Yeah.
It's mostly just a travelogue. It's like, we went to these countries, this is what we saw. It's the shortest film in the canon by a wide margin.
Exactly. It's 42 minutes long, which is exactly 3 times shorter than Disney's longest project, which was Fantasia.
Yeah.
And these movies came out, 3 years apart?
3 years apart. Dumbo is the shortest non-package film, and that even makes it over the hour mark.
Yeah, but just barely, though.
Yep. But Saludos Amigos, roughly translated, means greetings, friends.
Yeah.
And
there's not a whole lot for me to say about Saludos Amigos. I mean, there's nothing really bad about it, but there's nothing that really stands out. I believe this was the first package film.
Yeah, it was the first.
And technically the first Disney movie to get a sequel, The Three Caballeros.
Yeah, this movie introduces Jose Carioca, who became just as popular as Mickey and Donald in Spanish-speaking countries, or Latin America, rather, because he's Brazilian.
Yeah, I think there was a segment dedicated to the samba.
Yep, in Melody Time.
Yeah, exactly. I guess Disney really enjoys Brazilian music.
Yep. Even now, you can see Jose in modern stuff like the new Three Caballeros show and DuckTales.
Mm.
Yeah, of course, he's part of a unit, but he's sort of like a breakout character of this, and he managed to out-troll Donald.
Oh, Donald.
Right, but this was...
Donald can never catch a break, and that's why we love him.
Yep. Yeah, but Disney basically made this as a travelogue when they went to neutral South America during World War II. Mm. It was sort of a peace mission, sort of an art exchange. This one's kind of good, gets the job done. Not too much bad about it, but not too much stand out. Yeah. So I'm putting this one in the okay category.
Yeah, there's a reason that people don't really talk about this one. And as far as the package film goes, it's not as good as Melody Time, but it's still way better than Fun and Fancy Free.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'd compare it to Ichabod and Mr. Toad, though.
Right.
I put them roughly on the same level.
Yeah, I can see it.
And that I remember liking them, but I don't remember too much specifically about them. And if you asked me to watch this or another film, I'd definitely go with another one. Specifically, The Little Mermaid.
Right.
So, The Little Mermaid. I've heard mostly good things about this, some not so good things from some people. Watching it myself, I don't know what to say. This movie hit. It's everything I could have expected from a Disney movie, especially a Disney Renaissance movie. Great
songs, great world, great characters.
It hits a range of emotions from laughing my ass off to just having my heart completely shattered, and hits everything else in between.
Yeah. Personally, I feel like the people who criticize the character of Ariel, they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, like she's not just doing this for a guy. Her motivation is established early on. She shows an immediate fascination with the human world. And, wanting to meet Prince Eric, it's not so much about wanting to meet this guy. It's about wanting to, explore the world firsthand, having this treasure trove. It's a nice indirect connection to the world she wants to go to, but, if she can get legs, go on land, meet this prince, she'll have a whole opportunity, a whole new world in front of her. I know this isn't the movie that has the song A Whole New World, but damn, it fits so well, doesn't it?
Yeah, but Ariel gets part of your world, and also she has a lot of her stuff destroyed, so she's broken, so she doesn't just get legs on a whim.
The scene where Triton destroys her trove, that may have been the hardest that any film had hit me at that point, until another film I watched on this marathon, which we'll get to.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah. So for me, this almost got an S ranking from me, which is the highest that I could give anything based on Japanese grading systems.
Right.
The only reason that it doesn't is because, for all the talk from this film's detractors that Ariel's incredibly shallow, I feel like that bill fits more towards the prince, at least in the first two acts.
Right.
I mean, he's the one, waiting for this mysterious woman with the voice to show up.
And Ariel's the one who saves him at the end, in a way.
And, I mean, to be fair, Eric does end up saving the whole kingdom by steering the ship into Ursula's heart. So he gets his time to shine. I think it's just a little bit of a shame that it doesn't come until the very last act of the film. That's really the only criticism I have. And since we haven't talked about her yet, can we talk about Ursula?
Oh, Ursula's really cool. She's lots of fun. Her design is awesome. Her song is my favorite in the movie.
Her delivery, just the way that she chews on the scenery and just owns every scene that she is in. She's not as much as a constant threat as someone like, say, Lady Tremaine in Cinderella, or even the evil stepmother in Snow White, but the scenes that she does have, she nails.
Right. Pretty fun to see.
So, you said Poor Unfortunate Souls was your favorite song?
Yeah, because it's just so well orchestrated, so well performed, and I like some of the wordplay that goes on.
I don't know what I'd call my favorite song in that. That's definitely a high contender. Under the Sea, all-time classic.
Yep, won an Oscar for a reason.
Yeah, beat out yet another song from that film, Kiss the Girl, which I liked a lot more than I expected. I do want to say when the seagull tried singing right before that, the sound that it most reminded me of is the guitarist from the band Chicago when he implements his wah-wah pedal.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. I remember. I can't believe Part of Your World wasn't even nominated that year, but...
Right, and can you believe they almost cut it from the movie because they thought it dragged a little? Katzenberg noticed a kid at the test screening tipped his popcorn, but Ashman, the composer, he petitioned to keep it in because it was so important to the plot.
I like the opening line, "Look at this stuff, isn't it neat?"
Yeah.
My mind immediately goes to, "Look at this net that I just found."
Oh, yeah. You're number one.
And, at the time, this was number one, and it seems like we can both agree that this movie is fantastic.
Right, and also I want to say, I think that Disney would have a market if they tried getting their princesses a little bit more welcoming to boys, kind of like with bronies.
Yeah.
Because you see, Ariel, she's nerdy, she's outgoing, she's curious, she has a lot of traits that boys can relate to and stuff.
Right. It's the proactivity that really sells Ariel to me.
Right, the proactivity. Ariel gets my approval.
Same here, and the scenes where she can't talk and the movie has to rely on her facial animation, it pulls off her curiosity just as well as when she had her voice.
Ariel forgot she could write.
Oh yeah, she can write. She signed her name.
Signed the contract, and she has great penmanship. But I just went to the headcanon that she was just so shocked she forgot how to write.
Yeah. And the dinner scene where she's twirling her hair with the fork with the dissolver.
Kills me every time.
Yeah. Like I said, this movie hits all the range of emotions.
Yeah. It was called Disney's big comeback for a reason.
Yeah, critical hit, financial hit. It's everything you could want, and hopefully the voting reflects that. So, without further ado, The Little Mermaid gets 12 votes. Saludos Amigos gets none. It's a clean sweep.
I see.
Yeah. Not at all surprised. I would have expected at least one vote for Saludos Amigos. I know there is an audience that does not like this movie. I guess they just didn't show up this time.
Yeah, not that I'm complaining.
Yeah, would have won easily either way. Because honestly, who even remembers Saludos Amigos?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next matchup: Mulan versus The Rescuers Down Under.
This was an intriguing one to me because these two films are quite similar. They both are a lot of action set in an unorthodox setting, and they put twists on the standard Disney ideals.
Right. Okay.
Now, I heard you were gushing all over Mulan, so...
Oh, God, I love this movie.
It's got such great songs, such great action. Yeah. It has Eddie Murphy in a great comedic role doing what he does best.
Yeah. I love the character of Mulan. I love the arc that she goes through. I like how she starts off absolutely, clumsy, not fit to be in the army, which,
right.
to be fair, is basically the rest of Li Shang's platoon when it starts out. So we see
no wonder he wanted to make a man out of him.
Exactly. I mean, and we see, the growth that not only Mulan goes through, but the whole platoon as well. So,
right.
Like, it kind of keeps the focus on her without making it seem like she's too dominating, because this is technically, a war story. And when it comes to war stories, it's the entire squadron that really makes or breaks any operation.
Yeah, and eat it, Pocahontas, because Mulan also somewhat based on a true story.
I thought Mulan was just legend. I thought Mulan was always fictional.
There's some historical debate, but yeah, the first writing kind of came through an epic poem. So the jury's still out, but there is some ancient backing to this story.
Right.
And again, if you want to market the princesses to boys, this is a good gateway.
This is how you do it. I mean, it kind of has the deck stacked in favor, because Mulan is acting like a man for a good part of the movie.
Right.
I think the bathing scene was just the right amount of uncomfortable and hilarious.
Yeah.
I never want to see another naked man again. Then they all come
surprised that slipped away with a G rating.
Oh man. I'm imagining if they would have done the Ren and Stimpy thing, where the man's running toward the pond and we see Ren and Stimpy nodding their heads up and down.
Oh yeah.
Oh god. And remember what I was saying about how in The Little Mermaid, Triton destroying the Trove was, up to that point, the hardest that any Disney movie has hit me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Girl, what do we want? A girl worth fighting. Oh shit.
Yep.
That's what hit me the hardest, because it really brings you into the fact that this is a war we're fighting.
I get you. I feel that.
For all that talks about, grandeur and honor, fact of the matter is, war is not fun. It is destructive. It is deadly. And that total whiplash, that's strong enough to kill a person, because, I mean, I get the feeling that this is how, a lot of people who actually do end up going to war, they might have some idea of what the military is like, fight for your country, honorable soldier, and then when they actually get there, it's like a much stronger version of, the Paris effect.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And this movie just nails that completely.
Yeah, and I hear all the kids, they're all talking about how, I would have wanted to fight in the Civil War. I would have wanted to be a pirate. No, you wouldn't.
Yeah.
It's pretty brutal out there. You'd have to be prepared. If you were to talk to your ancestor who was a veteran, they would have called you a pansy.
So, I think, like The Little Mermaid, this hits all of the emotional cues that I want, and it has a lot of the same character strengths. The reason I rank it higher, though, is because I think the comparison point to Prince Eric would be Li Shang.
And Li Shang is a much more rounded character.
Much more rounded, much more dynamic. He has an arc of his own. Just a lot more interesting than Prince Eric, and that's the main thing that gives it the edge.
Right, and I have a feeling like you're going to enjoy the rest of the Disney Renaissance if these two movies came through for you.
I certainly hope so. There's a lot of hype surrounding these. I'm trying to ignore that as much as I can, because I don't want to be too disappointed if things.
Yeah, throw all preconceptions in the trash can. Enjoy them as best as you can.
Yes. So yeah, so far Mulan is my favorite. Now, Rescuers Down Under, the overlooked Renaissance film, it is a damn shame that its first matchup is Mulan, because this movie was way better than I expected it to be.
Yeah, and going through with sequels, it's kind of interesting. You're watching this before the first one because the difference is night and day.
I guess that means doesn't matter if you watch them out of order.
Right, it doesn't. This one is a lot more action-oriented. You get the mice who have their own character. The stakes are higher, and the villain is so different in his approach. I actually think McLeach is one of my favorite Disney villains because he's just so evil. So
he is just menacing.
Yeah, and also fun fact: this was the first movie to use the CAPS digital system.
Oh yeah.
You probably noticed how this looks a little differently from earlier Disney films. Right. That's because they integrated the digital coloring technique. And they put it up through the computer to add digital effects. Mm-hmm. So this movie really was able to show off the new technology. Without it, we may not have had a Toy Story or a Lion King or any of the...
Damn, this movie is more influential than I thought.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons it bombed was because it wasn't a musical, so it didn't have that sort of draw, and it's a sequel to one of the more obscure Disney movies.
Yeah. Like, people definitely have an expectation when it comes to Disney movies. That expectation has definitely evolved over the years, but Rescuers Down Under doesn't really fit the mold that you would think, which is a shame. This deserves to be a lot more recognized.
It does.
The bird,
and I'm glad
I don't know what kind of bird it was.
Albatross.
Albatross, yeah. When I heard his voice, my mind immediately went to Wally Shawn, even though I knew it wasn't Wally Shawn.
It's John Candy.
I know that now, but man, Wally Shawn as Wilbur would have been perfect casting because he has all those same deliveries. But John Candy, I'll take him. I'll take him in a heartbeat. He does a great job. I'm surprised Cody doesn't get on my nerves more than he does.
Yeah.
He's the adventurous kid, fairly naive, kind of takes risks.
But
he's very endearing, very in tune with the outback wildlife.
Yeah.
And, he's not... he actually takes charge, devises the plan to escape from the cages. And it ends up not working because of that salamander thing.
Fromac Lizard.
I really need to pay more attention to the animal details, especially in a movie like this.
You see, when I was a kid, I was really obsessed with animals, so I was able to identify a lot of the stuff.
I see. Yeah, and I did actually recognize the first 10 minutes from that one time I watched it in like 3rd grade.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty epic Disney intro. No opening number, no exposition, just whoosh, tracking shot.
And like that first scene with the golden eagle, it looks amazing.
Yeah. This movie is a real technical achievement. I think part of the reason it was even made, because you wouldn't have expected a sequel to The Obscure Rescuers, was mostly because it was based on a series of books, and they wanted to take one of the lesser catalog, and they would try and expand on that using the new technology available.
Right. So... this one doesn't rank as high as Mulan because it's not as epic a story, so it can't really hit the highs.
And I would respect that.
Which, aiming high doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna reach it. Mulan did. That's why it has my vote over this. But this matchup is like if in the first round you had Duke versus Villanova.
Yeah.
That is just not fair. Losing in the first round only because you're up against the best. That's gotta hurt. Like any other matchup, they could have made it pretty far.
Right.
in any.
Yeah, and again, Disney Renaissance continues to churn it out for you.
Yes, it does.
3 for 3 so far.
Let's hope the streak continues. And so let's get on to the final voting. All right. Mulan gets 12 votes. Rescuers Down Under gets 2 votes.
Wow, 12 seems like the magic number.
Yeah.
I think all 3 winners this week got 12.
All three winners got 12 votes, but not all the losers got 2.
Right.
So, yeah, I think it's just some of these voters just hadn't seen Saludos Amigos and just decided not to vote.
Yeah.
So, anyway, Snow White got a bye, so it immediately moves on to the second round. All right, so
I think we'll face Mulan.
Yeah. So let's have a quick recap. We're completely finished with the first round in Class A. The second round matchups are now determined, and they are as follows. We've got Beauty and the Beast going up against The Emperor's New Groove. We've got Big Hero 6 going up against Moana. Wreck-It Ralph facing The Little Mermaid. And Mulan facing Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
And these matchups are kind of interesting because a lot of them feel complementary.
Yeah. I mean,
Mulan and Snow White, you got your princesses, Emperor's New Groove, and Beauty and the Beast. You got the reinvention of the Disney formula.
Even Big Hero 6 and Moana. I mean, these are both films in the new 10s coming off of the heels of much bigger, much more successful movies. Because Big Hero 6 was the first one they released after Frozen, and Moana came out the same year as Zootopia.
And both of them managed to be decent hits in their own right, though.
Yeah, but definitely getting overshadowed by their immediate predecessors.
Right.
Not sure there's much of a comparison point between Wreck-It Ralph and The Little Mermaid, other than the protagonists exploring new worlds.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
So yeah, these second round matchups, they're going to be interesting.
Don't expect them to be as lopsided this time.
I certainly hope they're not. I track these votes every day just to see what happens, and my expectations are always met way more than I expect. So hopefully things in the second round start to pick up and get more interesting.
Yeah, get a little closer. We could see more lower seed upsets.
Yeah. Well, this coming week we're going to be doing the first half of the first round in Class B. So the matchups are as follows. We have the 1 seed versus the 16 seed. Fantasia versus nothing. Then we've got the 8 seed versus the 9 seed. These are The Princess and the Frog versus Alice in Wonderland.
That's going to be a cool match because it's 2 films that are kind of on the lower known tier of Disney, but those who like them seem to really like them.
Yeah, Princess and the Frog, the film that killed Disney 2D animation. I kid.
R.I.P.
I kid.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, that did really seem to be the turning point. Because apparently Princess and the Frog didn't do so hot. Guess that's what happens when you release it the same weekend as Avatar.
Yeah.
And the film right after that was Tangled. That was a big hit.
Yep.
Tides were definitely changing at the turn of the decade.
Right.
Anyway, the 5 seed versus the 12 seed, we've got Lady and the Tramp against Treasure Planet. I've heard I released status on DeviantArt a couple weeks back asking people, what their favorite animated Disney sequence was, and I think Carrick said it was one from Treasure Planet.
Yeah, it is a pretty interesting movie, and I'm surprised Disney hasn't. No, actually, few other animations have actually done steampunk before.
Yeah, like Treasure Planet, like that wasn't a big hit, but kind of like the other 2 in the previous matchup, those who like it really like it.
Yeah, but I'll have a lot more to say about Treasure Planet and what it could have led to next week.
I'm looking forward to it. All right, and the final matchup for next week, we've got the 4 seed versus the 13 seed, 101 Dalmatians versus Pocahontas.
Okay.
That's, Pocahontas is going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, you see, you're really a Renaissance fan, but Pocahontas is considered the weakest of that era.
So I've been told.
Yeah, but I've met people who seem to enjoy it, and it does have its moments.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously there's a whole lot of baggage surrounding that film that hopefully I'll have a lot more context on when I actually watch it. This is not the kind of thing that I want to talk about without having seen it myself. I'll just leave it at that.
Right. We'll both be better prepared next week.
Yeah. The only real experience I have with Pocahontas is when my older brother was in my elementary school's production when he was in 5th grade, playing a fairly minor role, but that did mean I have to go see it. So don't really remember a whole lot about it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's it for next week. Got some interesting matchups.
See you next week.
Take care, everybody.
See ya. Do 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 do.